I'm starting a recording now for Flip Tech 2020. This is SOFLA, and I'm about to bring in the participants. They'll be waiting for a few minutes. We're going to start in about 10 minutes. Good morning. Welcome to SOFLA. We'll start shortly. Meanwhile, here's a link to the shared folder for this session. And in the shared folder, you will find the pre-work, the Google Forms, videos, everything's in there. There are two folders, one for this morning and one for this afternoon. Do you hear me? Everybody hear me? Okay, just checking the sound there. I'm by myself here.
Not a problem. Good morning, Helaine.
Good morning, Matt.
I just want to let you know that email I sent last night, I just got a reply back this morning, so I'll be back in touch with those folks.
Fantastic.
Also, getting some really good traffic, so hopefully some more folks will join us as the morning gets started. So, because I kicked a bunch of stuff out this morning, so should be good to go. It's going to be an exciting day.
Yeah, another day, another full day.
Good news is there's not too many left, so that's good. All right, well, I'm going to go silent and be listening in.
Okay. So if you just came in, feel free to go to the folder and explore the folder. If you didn't do the pre-work, you can still do it now. There's a Google form to fill out and some videos to watch, 2 videos. You can watch one long one or 2 short versions. Welcome. I just posted the Google folder. I'll keep posting it so that people who come in will see it. That's our shared folder, has everything you need for this session in the folder. You want to go to the SOFLA session. There are 2 folders, one for this morning, one for the afternoon. I'm looking for my co-pilot, Uma. I don't see her yet. She's the moderator for this session.
Maybe she's having some technical difficulties. We've had a couple of those over this week. So I will be happy to ride shotgun and be Poncho there if you wish, Don Quixote.
That would be great. I really do need a moderator. I need somebody.
I will function as that until she shows. That will be just fine with me.
Okay, great. I'll be putting a lot of links in the chat, and so one of the roles of the moderator is to repost any links so that people, as they come in, will see the links, because you can't chat back, you can't look at the chat.
Right,
backwards.
Keep moving them down the list. Gotcha. Can you share with me co-hosting duties, please, Helaine?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I guess I'm moderating your afternoon chat this afternoon, so I'll pay.
Yes, I know. I saw that. You're moderating the 4 E's. That one's gonna be a riot. Wait till you see. Help with something on that. If you can get back to me before 3, there's a little something I want to tell you in advance that we need to get on the
Yeah.
same page
Do you want me
about.
to just, do you want me to email you, or do you want me to go ahead and get on just 15 minutes early?
Oh, 15 minutes early is okay. It's something to do with the breakouts.
Okay.
That's not exactly breakouts. You'll see.
Okay, yeah, I'll hop on 15 minutes early. If you need me sooner, just, shoot me an email or send me a tweet.
Sounds good.
I think I'm glad I volunteered for the morning moderation then.
Chicken.
See, I know I am. I have no qualms about that. Color me yellow.
Are you
That's
recording
fun.
these, or?
Helaine, would you like this recorded or nay?
I'm recording it. It's already
Okay,
started.
you are. Great. Wonderful. Oh, I see it there.
I'm a recorder from way back.
Are you going to post them somewhere? You already have a request for posting from a friend of mine who's a mom that can't be here this morning or this afternoon. She's an online teacher. Perfect.
I'm gonna fix it up a little bit, put it in Camtasia, dress it up a little bit, and fix it.
Okay.
And then I'll post it.
So if she emails you, will you let her know where it'll be, or?
Yeah. I'm very good. I'm transparent. I mean, I'm not transparent.
I just want to make it easy for her to find the information she wants, because she's one of the original group of flippers at Allen High School.
Great.
And, she's moved on to other things, and now she's doing instructional coaching and online teaching, and mom and all the other jobs that you do as a grown up. And so I'd like to help her out some.
Absolutely. I'll be in touch with her.
Your 2 sessions were the ones that she specifically asked me about this morning.
Well, she better look out, because at the end of this afternoon session, there's something I do to reach out of the screen to steal from Andrew.
I watched your video. I believe it. You're so much fun. I wish I could be that much fun.
Wait, well, this one's more serious, but the one this afternoon is more fun. Okay.
Matt,
can you let people in so that I don't have to keep doing that? I've been doing it, but can you take over now? Because I want to start. Okay.
You go for it. You're on.
All right. So I'm going to take away the welcome screen because it's time to start, and I have a lot going on in this session. Welcome to SOFLA. And SOFLA stands for Synchronous Online Flipped Learning Approach. So what's in front of you now are the instructions for how we're going to behave. But since it's the 3rd day of the conference, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4th day of the conference, I'm sure by now you all know how to behave. Sometimes I don't know how to behave, but I'm learning. Okay, so now I'm going to pull up the very first thing I want to show you, which is, what is SOFLA? This is SOFLA, okay?
Real quick,
SOFLA.
Helaine, if you would introduce yourself, because...
Sure, I'm going to. That's later. I have that in my show notes. I'm going to. I have a very, I'm cool. I'm going to introduce myself. I want to wait till everybody gets here to do that. So I always do a few things in the beginning to wait till we get everybody we're going to have.
Wonderful.
Okay, so this is SOFLA. And what do you notice about SOFLA? Put something in the chat that you notice about SOFLA. Anything at all. There's no right or wrong here. This is SOFLA. What do you notice? Anything at all. What do you notice? Can be related to the content, the format, I don't care. What do you notice? No right or wrong. Just use some, whatever. I just saw the winner souffle. I haven't thought of that one. No one ever says that. I do this all the time. Okay, that's a new one. Okay, interesting what you're noticing. All right, great. Okay, and I just wanted to let you know that I will save the entire chat so that if anybody comes in later, they can get the whole chat and not just what they save individually, because what you save individually, you only save from the moment you arrive. But I will be posting the entire chat for everybody because I believe in being transparent. It's really my MO is to share. So you'll all have the whole chat. And I'm so happy there are more people here. I'm excited. Okay, now. All right. So I would like you to know that there is a folder that I'd like you to take a look at. If you haven't been to the shared folder, you can go now. Matt is going to repost that in the chat for you. It's a Google folder, and it has 2 subfolders. One is for this session, and the other's for my afternoon session. So please go to the one for this session right now. It's the SOFLA folder, and in there you'll see everything. You'll see the Google form pre-work, you'll see the videos, you'll see slide decks, PDFs, whatever you need, it's in the folder. So if you can run your Zoom and also have the folder, it might be a little easy for you to follow everything, although I'm showing everything. But some people like to have access to all these files, so that's fine. All right? So do you have the folder? Yes, Matt has posted it. Great. Thank you, Matt. Okay. Now, what I'd like to do is show you. Everybody sees SOFLA now. Did you all have a chance? I know new people are coming in. Last call, what do you notice? Look at SOFLA. What do you notice? Last call for the moment. If you think of something later, just put the word notice and then what you notice. Put the word notice, although we're going to do another notice. So put notice SOFLA. Notice SOFLA and what you notice, because it might occur to you later. All right, so now we're going to go to another share. And what I'm going to share with you now, I'm going to introduce myself in a minute, but I want to share something with you, which is the pre-work. Now, what you're looking at here is what I asked you, and I can see a couple people are in it right now. Okay, so I asked you what your pressing issue is when considering online delivery of instruction. And you can see here how many responses we had. Thanks, Matt, for keeping to admit. I really appreciate having somebody do that. So let's see how many we have. 15, okay. So one person came in after I did my little bolding. Okay, so I asked you a few questions, and one of them was, what's your pressing issue? So I'd like to scroll quickly. We're gonna do everything very quickly because we're going through the whole SOFLA model. And the first thing I wanna do with you is show you some of the pre-work that you did, all right? So we had 15 people do the pre-work. How many folks are in here, Matt? How many people are in here now? Do you have a number for me?
We have 24.
Okay.
24 at present. So
okay, 24. So we had 15. It might not be the same. Maybe someone, you know, it doesn't work exactly that way. But 15 out of 24, if we assume it's the same people, which we'll find out in a minute. 15 out of 24. That's excellent. Bravo, guys. Okay. You still can do it, but it won't be showing your response on this question because we're going to do this now. So I'm going to ask you again, what do you notice? The question is, what do you notice? And I'm going to scroll, and these are not organized. Now, when I do this with my students, either I or they organize them by categories. So I might organize this one by certain categories, such as the affective domain, technology, you know, I'll organize the pressing issues. This time I just did it this way because I knew people would be doing it at the last minute. So there's no organization. But as I scroll, I want you to look at the bolded words. You don't have to read everything. Just look at the bolded words and tell me what you notice in the chat, please. What do you notice? All right, I'm going to scroll now. I'll try and scroll slowly. All right, let's see how we get this. Whoop, just slowly. That wasn't slowly. Okay, let me try scrolling this way. Whoop, it's still going kind of fast. All right. Take a look as I go scrolling. Just the bold, just look at the bold. Okay, that's it. They're only 15. Okay, what do you notice? What jumps out at you? What are people's pressing issues? What jumps out at you? Okay. All right. Just put what you notice. There's no right or wrong here. That's not what this is. I want to know what resonates, what comes out to you. What surprises you? Anything surprise you? You surprised by any of these responses? Maybe not. But if anyone is, what surprised you? I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. And so if we have like a interweaving chat, you might put a little keyword to tell everybody which thing you're responding to. So you could put surprise, or you could put notice, pre-work, pressing, or something like that. So I can code the data later.
One thing I'm noticing is the access. You know, in this current situation, access really starts to float to the top.
Right. It's interesting. Yes. And I just have to say, I'll say this morning and I'll say it this afternoon, even more so, is that my work and my focus, which I'll tell you about myself in a minute as soon as we get everybody in here, my focus is pedagogy. My focus is not the technology, not the access, not the tools. I'm learning all of that, but my focus, I'm in teacher education. I'll tell you more about it in a minute, but my focus is pedagogy. So I'm not here to talk about that pressing issue, which is important for me to know what your issues are. If your issues are engagement, motivation, all of that, that's my wheelhouse. If it's the kids don't have laptops, not mine, okay? So just so we're clear. All right. So I'm asking you now, I asked you another question. I'm not going to go through all the pre-work, just 3 questions. The others are interesting also, and you will have access to all of this data. You are going to get the data for all the pre-work. I'm going to give you everything that comes generated from this session. Whatever we generate, pre-work or chat or recording, you get it. Just being here gives you it all. Okay, so here I asked you about a learner. What was it like for you to be a learner? So again, I'm going to scroll, look at the bold, and tell me what you notice. Now remember, you were supposed to put your learner hat. Somebody put on their teacher hat still, and I kind of rewrote it to be a learner. Okay, you're supposed to think about, so when I'm learning online, now maybe you've never done it. You really might want to try, because if you're going to teach online, you should try learning online just to have that feeling. Okay, and I said that in the video. If you saw the video, I talked about all that when I went through the Google form in the video. Okay, so here we go. Take a look. I'll be quiet while I scroll. And again, I didn't organize these, so. What helped you as learners? What do you notice? Put it in the chat. What do you notice? What's popping up? And I didn't bold the most recent because they were this morning. You have to read those. They're also not wrapped. Yeah, I didn't wrap the last ones. Okay, what do you notice? Please, can you? Okay, and then Matt, if there are questions, I'm kind of counting on you to let me know. Okay, so you're putting what you're noticing that helps. Now, that's interesting, okay? So put a pin in that. Can you put a pin in that? Because what that is that tells you as a learner what helped you. And not that that's exactly what's going to help your students, but it gives you a mindset of being learner, not just teacher. You know how sometimes we forget what we were like when we were learners because we're teachers, okay? So that's important data for you. And then the other one I just wanted to do kind of for fun is where are you guys from? So let's see who's here. And I don't know if you people are here. Can you put, let's see, put a check if you, well, that's okay. I don't want to call anybody out. All right, let's see. We've got North Carolina, Columbia, Michigan, Arizona, Illinois, New Jersey, not too far from me. Colombia again, Argentina, Colombia, Allen, Texas, Toronto, and another Toronto, Canada, Illinois, we don't know where exactly, northern New Jersey. Okay, so there's 2 New Jersey people, there's a bunch of Columbia people, a couple of Canada people. So you can already see who's here, all right? And I'd just like to mention to you that unlike some sessions, I just wanted you all to know that you can at any time chat anybody, okay? So all you have to do is go to the everyone, and instead of everyone, you pick the person you want to say hi to. So if you see someone who's from where you're from, or, you know, maybe you don't know if that's the person. Matt, figure that out for me. How they can do that. But anyway, chat, if you want to chat to somebody now that you see who's from where, you know, or you can even put it in the everyone and say, who's the other person from Canada, if you don't know who they are. Okay, this is your opportunity to get to know the people that are from where you're from. I'm just asking you to do that. There'll be other times you'll do other things, but right now, if there's someone who's from where you're from, you can do that. You can also post in the chat where you're from, because only 15 people did this. So maybe you're not one of those people. So put in the chat where you're from, and then you'll see where everybody's from, and then private chat anybody who's from where you're from. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute to do that, and then we'll do our then I will finally, which everyone's been waiting for, I guess, introduce myself, which I like to do after everyone's here. And then we're going to do 2 polls. And then I'm going to take you to the substance of the workshop.
Just to let you know, Helaine, we're up at around 30 people, as I'm just admitting, number 30. And so there is going to be a really great and robust chat. That's something that's been going on with Flip Tech all week. So don't hesitate, whether it's related or even at times unrelated. If you just need something answered, you have all the brains in the room right here. So make sure you put them to use. So make sure you check in and connect with others and use that chat wisely.
Okay, so now I'm finished sharing the pre-work. I just wanted to give you the flavor. I always do that. You'll see that in a minute when I demo SOFLA for you. But I wanted to show you that I really did look at and read your pre-work. And if anyone wants to continue doing the pre-work, it's open. It's still accepting responses. And until the end of the week, I won't, you know, codify it, but I will prepare it as a document and you will have it. So go ahead and do the pre-work, make it after work. I don't care. It's still data. Let's collect it. So you're totally invited to do it at a later time. All right, now, next thing I'm going to do, stop share. Hi everybody. So you should see me big now, right? Okay. All right. The introduction is now, I think everyone who's coming is here. It's 10:15. All right. So who am I? I'm Helaine Marshall. My international name is Lane, which is sort of a long story, but I found that Helaine is not a familiar name in most countries, not even here. And so we have a Miscellaneous Club, actually. All the people named Helaine, we have a club, an international club, the Helaine Club. We call it Miscellaneous. We got a Facebook and we got all kinds of stuff going because people say Helaine, Helen. We even get Melanie, believe it or not. Anyway, so I decided to call myself Lane internationally. So some people are confused about my name, but Lane I use for all over the world. But in the US, I'm Helaine, that's my name. And some people have been calling me Laney lately, which is really cool because only my family calls me that. But you guys are my family. Anyway, I'm a teacher educator. I've been teaching for more years than I care to admit right now. But I've been in Wisconsin. I was in Wisconsin and in the Boston area for many years. And lately I've been at Long Island University, and I do teacher education for language education. So I teach linguistics, I teach multicultural perspectives, and my research is actually in culturally responsive teaching. And I've written several books. A new one just came out this year. I've written a lot of articles and all that. But my other hat is flipped learning. So that's what you're more interested in today. So I started flipping back in 2012. My first FlipCon was Chicago, but I didn't go. I actually participated virtually. I didn't have the to go, but I went virtually, and I loved it. They had us participate, and they had a moderator in the back. It was fantastic. Anyway, I haven't missed a one since. I always go to them. I love conferences anyway. Okay, so what's the story with my flipping? So I started flipping my face-to-face class, my linguistics class, in 2012. And then in 2000, I had been teaching online since 2008, but it never occurred to me to teach flipped online. I just separated the two. Okay, I teach online, I teach flipped. And then I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I should make my online classes flipped instead of doing all these PowerPoint talks and stuff. So, so I started to flip my online classes in 2016. Yeah, it took me a while to figure that out. Okay, and Carolina, just to shout out, I don't know if she's in here, Carolina Rodriguez Buitrago was my side partner. We buddied together, and I'll tell you more about that this afternoon. But I did flip my online classes, and I've been doing that ever since. So that's where SOFLA came from. SOFLA is an online flipped learning model. So that's my story of who I am and my flipping. Now I'm going to give you a couple polls. And if you have any more questions about me and anyone want to know anything more, put it in the chat. And you can, if you Google me, you'll see me. I'm pretty much around. All right, here we go. Now the first poll is the pre-work. Now, my philosophy is not to be punitive with my students on the pre-work, but I want to know, because if you don't know, then it's a little harder for you to teach. So I just want to know. So let's see who did it. It's okay. Yes, part of it, may look at it later. Nah, too busy for that. When I do this only in New York, I do it, and the last one says, forget about it. But, you know, that's sort of a New York thing. All right. The New York in me pops out. All right, please, everyone answer. There are only going to be 2 polls, but I need you to go quickly because I've got a lot to cover. So just please answer. Let's see how many I've got. I've got 24 out of 28. That's pretty good. Okay. I'm going to close the poll in just a second. I'm not really reading the chat. My students always tell me that I don't look at the chat enough because sometimes they don't hear me and I don't even know that. So I'm trying to present so I don't really see the chat that well because I'm busy doing all my bells and whistles. Everybody, all right, everyone except one person. So I'm going to end the poll and share the results. All right, so we have 30% yes. Actually, for any questionnaires that are handed out, the research says if you get 1/3, that's what you get, generally speaking, in any questionnaire work. So 30% is right on target for what I would expect. So that's fine. But look, we got part of it, almost another 1/5 of you. And look, you're going to look at it later. But, you know, 20%, too busy. All right. It's kind of fun. You might want to do it. Okay. Now I have another poll for you. One more poll. Your next poll is, there's actually a 3rd poll, but the 3rd poll will be at the very end. Please stay. Okay. Now, the next one is delivery mode. Answer me this, please. So how do you plan to deliver your online instruction or training? You have 4 choices.
Helaine, we have a question in the chat
Great.
that asks that they love the pop-up poll. What is it? Is it built within Zoom?
Yeah, it's a Zoom. It's a Zoom feature. But in the Zoom, I don't want to do a whole thing. I could do a whole session on Zoom because I do a lot of Zoom training. But you have to set these up in advance. I mean, you can do them on the fly, but it's much better to set them up on advance. But they won't even appear as an option unless you go into your settings beforehand and say, I would like to have polls available to me.
Now, is that for the education or enterprise version? Probably not available in the free version. Is that correct?
Well, I don't remember what the free version has because I use Zoom so much. I have the paid version, and I also have a professional and a personal account. They're both
Gotcha.
the paid version, so I can't answer for free what it is.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, I'm a believer that if you use something enough, not 10 different things, but if you use something enough, get the paid version. All right,
You know,
I'm going to end the poll. We have 24 out of 28. I'm going to do that. Okay, end the poll and share results. So you can see that most of you use both. Okay, cool. All right. No one needs to consult a dictionary. That's probably because it's day 4 and you've been hearing these words. And many of you came in knowing these words, but anyone who didn't certainly knows them now. So using both is actually what I advocate. Sometimes people don't use Synchronous, and I need to bring them over to the Synchronous side. And I know that Ken Bauer and others have advocated, the importance of asynchronous over synchronous because of technology glitches and issues. But I feel like it is so important because, of course, my field is English language learning. And look at this. Look, see, if you're learning a language. Si je parle maintenant en français, c'est beaucoup plus facile si je fais avec la bouche et les yeux et les doigts, les mains. Vous comprenez beaucoup plus. All right, do you see what I mean? So just making my point, not teaching you French. Okay, that was not planned. That's not my script. If I keep going off script, we won't finish. Okay, all right. Now, next thing, what I'm gonna do, somebody knows French. Okay, all right. I see the chat if it's in French, notice that. All right, so now we're ready for me to take you on a little trip. And where we're gonna go is, let's see, we're going to go to SOFLA. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, because I'm not doing what I did in the video. You don't teach it again. If you saw it, great. But you don't have to have seen the videos, which go through the 8 steps, in order to understand this. Because what I'm going to do is show you what I do with SOFLA. And this is the application of it, because we're in class, so we're applying SOFLA. And then you can do the theoretical piece afterwards. It doesn't matter, right? Theory to practice or practice to theory. 2 different, deductive, inductive. So if you didn't do the pre-work, you're learning inductively. And if you did the pre-work, it's a deductive. I get a little like a professor sometimes. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to take you to this. All right, so this is where we're going to spend most of our time, is in this document. This document is in the folder. And you have to remember, I just want to tell everybody in advance that, boy, this time flies. I am going to tell everyone in advance, rather than say, oh, my students couldn't do that. I teach 6th grade or 1st grade, or I teach high school. They'd never do it. I know that. What you need to do is what we learned from Guillaume. And I don't know if you went to Guillaume's, forget his last name, Guillaume's presentation from Marseille. Huh?
Guillaume Jobert.
Jobert. I was going to say Jobert, but that sounded like the guy that chased the Miserable, Jean Valjean. So then I'm like, oh, that was Javert. Jobert. Okay. Anyway, Guillaume Jobert talked to us about retrieval practice and transfer. If you didn't catch that, phenomenal stuff there. Okay. So you're going to need to transfer. And for some of you, it'll be a near transfer. For some of you, it'll be a far transfer. But what I'm giving you is what I do, because it's what I do. What you need to do is take it conceptually and figure out how it's going to work for your context. That's up to you. Okay? So here we go. All right. So this is professional development that I delivered, and the content is culturally responsive and sustaining education. Don't worry about the content. You can teach physics and biology this way too. All right? You have to think about transfer all the way through, please. Okay? All right. So this was a training I did, and I give them the handout. I give them the handout. Okay. Just checking my show notes to make sure that I'm not. Okay. Now I'm going to pause for every step of the 8 steps. Okay. So the first thing I do is, this is the quick agenda. This is the quick agenda, and the students see this. The detailed plan, examine the pre-work, we just did for us, sign in, whole group, breakouts, share out, preview and discovery, assignment, instructions, and reflection. That's the quick one. Then I do a detailed plan. Here's your folder again. Matt, could you put the folder link again? You have a really nice bit.ly one. Okay. This is our folder, just to let you know. Okay, and I do that with my students too. Okay, here's the detailed plan. What do you notice about the plan right away? What do you notice about this plan? This is the plan. Put what you notice. I mean, everyone doesn't have to. Okay, all right. So what I do is on the left, there are 3 columns. On the left is the topic, and in the center is the description of it, and then on the right hand side is what you're supposed to do, what students do. All right, so briefly go through the agenda, which is what I'm doing now. You're supposed to listen to the plans, think about what you're going to be doing, and ask for clarification. You might want to know what that crazy little icon is. I'm a big one for pictures. I put them everywhere, but I always do free use and share. Ken Bauer, thank you. He gave me quite a lecture at one of the flip cons because I was kind of loosey-goosey about it, and I no longer am. I'm a good girl now, and you should all learn how to do that. Okay, and you can see some pretty cool ones. The best one is the one I have at the end for reflection. Okay, then we do selected pre-work responses. So I go to pre-work, which I'm going to do now, or I'll do in a minute. I'm just taking you through the whole thing now. First, I'm going to take you through the plan, and then we're going to do it step by step. So I share pieces of the pre-work, which we're going to do. I select the fishbowl. If there are too many people, then I want a fishbowl group to post to the whiteboard, and everyone else uses the chat. Different fishbowls every class. Okay, you don't repeat being a fishbowl. So for example, this fishbowl would be if you did 3 out of the 5 asynchronous tasks, not you, my students, and you have a webcam and audio, and you were not in session 1 fishbowl. That's how they get into the fishbowl. This is session 2 of 3 sessions I gave, okay? Read the quote from Darwin, you'll see that in a minute. Then there's a buddy check, because we have a buddy list. Everyone has a buddy, and there's a list. People who are more techie, buddy with someone who's new. And we have people help each other. That's an important piece. Then we do the breakouts. And in this case, any configuration is fine, but sometimes I have reasons to put them in certain ways. And you know all about that if you watch the videos. I talked a lot about breakouts. All right, and then they share out. And we do peer feedback with the sharing of the breakouts using SHAC, Colin Fethy's wonderful model for peer feedback, which is share, help, ask, comment. Okay, we'll get to that. And then I share, which is a really important step, a preview of all what they're going to do for the next time, which is the way to motivate them. And you'll see what I do to motivate in a minute. That gets them to do their assignment. That's probably the most important step. And then I give them the assignment instructions in detail, which I'll show you. And then we do a reflection. And if your class is small enough, everyone does it on the whiteboard. You guys, instead of the whiteboard, I'm going to send you to a link for it. Okay, now let's go. So the first thing is the pre-work. completion of the tasks. They had a lot to do. These are adults. They're getting training. They're getting credit for it. I give them a lot of work. So they had 2 videos to watch and a chapter to read. Numbers 4 and 5 was a flip grid and a Padlet that they started in session 2, but they could also finish it for session 3, and a lot of them waited and did it in session 3, which is fine, not a problem. Okay, then we examined the pre-work, and I'm going to take you to the pre-work quickly. Responses. Oh, wait a second. Okay. Okay, I don't have that one. Okay, so, all right, I don't need to show you that. Okay, so what I was thinking of showing you was the results of how culture influences learning. But we did your pre-work, so you know how I do it, except I said that I organized the responses. So we're gonna skip that, okay? But I asked my students what they notice. When I say students, remember, I'm teaching teachers. I asked them what they noticed, just like I asked you, okay? So this was one of their questions. Each class, I pick a question from the pre-work. I don't do every single thing, but they know that I'm gonna do that. All right, then step 2 is the sign-in, as you know. So this sign-in was the Darwin. And I asked them a quote, but the quote pulled from the pre-work. So they can't just react to the quote. They have to react to the quote, making a connection to what was in the pre-work, right? They have to relate it. I know this is gobbledygook to you, but this is what they were studying. ICF, one of the principles, which is intercultural communication framework, layers of the context, instructional context, cultural dissonance. And the results of the sign-in, I'm going to share with you quickly. So what I do with that, oh, I did the whole desktop. Wait, well, it doesn't matter. Okay. Well, wait a second. You share. Let me just do, I just want to do this one. Okay. So do you see the, Matt, do they see the way I organize the responses? Matt.
I had to get my microphone. I only see the, it is not the strongest of the species. I only see Darwin.
Right. Okay. Hang out just a minute.
While you're looking at that, what site did you mention for the free images?
Here it is. It's not a site. It's settings in Google. You have to go to advanced setting, all the way down, free to use and share. The default is you can use whatever you want. You have to do the licenses.
Good. So the chat is on the right. The chat is on the right idea. Now we can totally see your responses.
All right, here they are. So what I do is I spend way too much time, but I organized the sign-in afterwards, and they all get this. So these were their responses. I organized how they responded, and I was able to see, did they relate it to the pre-work or not? And they know that the sign-in is going to relate to the pre-work, okay? But I organize it because I'm teaching them. I want them to see what other people put, and there it is. See, they did it. And the last one, as educators, we all need, sometimes I pull out a quote from one of them. As educators, we all need to be flexible and understand each student before we can teach. It's important to look through the lens of holistic teaching, especially in our current situation. It's not always what we teach, but the character of who teaches it. I would like you to put in the chat the Darwin quote and how you relate to the Darwin quote. Does it help you? We have to change, right? Put your reaction to the Darwin quote. Then we're going to move to whole group application. All right. So whole group, when I ask you to put something in the chat, everybody doesn't have to answer every question, but I'm trying to show you, the constant interaction, okay? So think about, I know some of you are more interested in the technical, but like I said, my focus is pedagogy. So then I do a whole group application. That's step 3. So we're finished with the sign-in. Then everyone gets together. I start with a buddy check because we really have to make sure everyone has a buddy who has more technology background. Sorry, I don't know why that came up. All right. But now is what I call the dangerous step. If you saw the video, you know why it's dangerous, but you have to watch the video to find out. Okay, so what I did here is, I'm hoping you see, I presented to them just a few slides, all right, about surveys and how important class surveys are for culturally responsive teaching. And I showed them the Mekong River. Don't worry about the content. I'm talking to you about the pedagogy. I showed them an example of a survey. This doesn't look like a survey, but if you're non-literate, this is a survey because they're all pictures and things like that. Okay, and I put on the left what was done with the students. They had to tell how they crossed the Mekong River. They were refugees. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, so then I showed them some other examples of surveys. Carol did a survey in her class about what they do in their free time and turned it into a bar graph with a math teacher. I gave another one on immigration. This was my class. I was teaching community college. And then I talked about how it connected with their pre-work, back to the pre-work. They already knew about ICF. Remember, that was the framework that they learned in the video. And how does it relate to the surveys, okay? But all of this was to get them to put in the chat what their ideas were about, or the whiteboard if they were fishbowl, what their ideas were about, just a minute, let me get it, what their ideas were about it. And so now, Matt, did they follow me to my new tab?
I see a table.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So these were their responses. Excuse the names, but these are all teachers. They're not students. So what I asked them was, okay, take this business of surveys of Mekong, and how would you teach it? You're a teacher. What could you teach from that Mekong River survey? And so I took all their great ideas. So this is the whole group application. I'm not teaching them. I'm giving them something to think about and share with each other and sort out ideas. And so they were doing this. And we didn't just do it in the chat. We did it with webcam and audio. It's a whole group, everybody talking about their ideas, okay? So that's step 3, okay. Is everybody clear on step 3? You're applying the pre-work to a new concept, which is giving surveys, and then they think about how they could teach that. All right, so you have to do a lot of FAR transfer, but you can use the principles. You notice everything goes back to the pre-work. That's really, really the key to everything. So then we're getting ready for breakouts. Guess what they're going to do in the breakouts? Of course, I'm going to give them another survey they're going to analyze. All right, so now did you follow me to the tab? Okay, so now they're in the breakout. And in the breakout, they're reading a problem. This was Karen had a problem. Her students weren't coming to class. And she had to work out something to get them to attend class. And there were a lot of issues. They're refugees. So she made an attendance chart. I don't want to get into content or we'll never finish. It's already 10:40. I'm only at step 4. Okay. So anyway, they got in their breakouts and they had to then apply this knowledge of how surveys relate to the ICF. They had to do it according to the ICF. And what I'm going to do is show you now. I'm going to go back to the, Okay, this will take us back to the handout. So now you can see for the breakouts, and I have these little icons. So it says read Martha's chart, Karen's feelings, use the ICF. Again, if they don't know what ICF is, they didn't do the pre-work, they're lost, right? But you might say, oh, they're lost. But remember, they're in groups, they're helping each other. And my philosophy is they will eventually realize the pre-work is the lesson and they need to have it, okay. And then they do a share out. And for share out, what I do is I say, okay, what did you guys do with, they do either one or the other. What did group 4 do with Karen's scenario of attendance? Oh, what did group 6 do with Martha's chart, okay? And if you watch the videos, there's much more in the videos about how to handle the share out. That's step 5. And that's Shaq, again, I think I mentioned it. We use peer feedback shack, which is a whole different session. I'm not talking about it today, but fantastic. The step 6 is the hardest step. The hardest step, okay? The hardest, okay, how much time is a session? All right, I'm guilty. Look, I teach grad school. This session was 2 hours. My classes are 2.5 hours mandated by New York State. I know you don't teach for 2.5 hours, but you don't teach yourselves. I teach folks like you, and we take a break. We take a dinner break. So this would be 2-3 days for you to get through all 8 steps. I know that. I know that. You have to modify. But here's the most important step, preview and discovery. So preview and discovery is really, yes, chunking is an option, right? Of course. Just like, you can chunk, do the first few steps, the next, because you see them every day. I only see people once a week. I see them once a week. You're in school during the day. Most of you are K-12 people. Okay. So next is very important. This step is the most important. You might think pre-work is most important. No, the most important is preview and discovery, because that's where you get them excited. And so I'm going to get you excited. Here we go. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you how I got them excited. All right. So they're going to learn about a new paradigm for learning. Okay, and it's called MAL. But first, they're going to talk about cultural dissonance, and then I'm going to ask them, "Oh, that's a new word. What do you think it means, guys?" I'm not asking you. What do you think cultural dissonance means? We're going to learn about that. You're going to know all about what cultural dissonance means. But tell me now, today, what do you think it means? So what you're trying to do is prime them for new concepts, and then you show them some pictures, and you say, these 3 pictures represent 3 underlying differences, and in your subject area you can find some pictures. Okay, so when you come back to class next time, you're going to look at these same three pictures, and you're going to be able to talk all about what they mean and why I showed them to you. You're going to know so much about these 3 pictures, and actually these 3 pictures do depict 3 underlining differences that I go over in the pre-work for the next class. You see how it all comes together. I think water is called for at this moment. Get excited. Okay, then I give them a question. So this is your, some people say, essential question. You're going to learn for next class the answer to this question. And when you come to class, I'm going to ask you the answer. And you're going to all have all different things to say about it because it's complicated. There's no simple answer. How do we reduce their cultural dissonance? Because you're going to know what that means, while fostering learning in this new setting. New setting because they're refugees. You have to think a little bit about what I'm trying to teach. Okay. So there's the model, mutually adaptive learning paradigm. Then this is the time where I ask them, what do you think it means? What do you think the mutually adaptive learning time, what does that mean? I'm not asking you. This is just what my students do. And then I jump down, I skip a few slides just to give them a little, oh, what was that? It went by fast. It went by fast. And then I show a cartoon. So here's the cartoon. And I say, oh, look at this cartoon. This actually you might be interested in, guys. You might like this cartoon. Anybody in special ed or teaching kids who struggle? Okay, it's a funny cartoon if you've never seen it. It's great to show administrators when they say, oh, whatever. Anyway, it's a funny cartoon. And I say, when you come to class next time, you'll be able to really pick apart this cartoon and tell me more about it and why I'm showing it to you. All right, and then I skip another one, tantalizing, and then I show, see this checklist? We're going to be using this checklist in the next class to analyze lessons, because teachers need to analyze lessons. They analyze them and then they create. Create is next at the end, but we're not at the end yet of the training. So I say, you're going to learn to analyze someone else's using this checklist, but you will know how to do that by the work you're going to do for next class. So come in ready to go. Okay, so I hope you're convinced, everybody, that 6 is the most important step. Now, the last 2 are really simple, and then we'll have time, for some discussion. But I wanted to get through the 8 steps. The problem with SOFLA is it's 8 steps, but each one is so important. Okay, so step 7 is pretty straightforward. In step 7, you give them the actual instructions. And so I'm going to show you what the instructions are. And if I've done a good job, you should be able to see. Oh, do you know what I didn't do? Wait, I didn't. Okay, if you look at your handout, if you've been following the handout, I had preview and discovery. I just didn't go back to the handout. Okay, so
Helaine,
now, yeah.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
That I think we need to go ahead and slide in here. Lainey, what do you mean to use to collaborate? What do you use to collaborate online? You mentioned a whiteboard in the video. Is that a virtual whiteboard or just Google Forms / Padlet?
Well, you can use whatever you want. I teach in Adobe Connect, and so it has a whiteboard. Zoom also has a whiteboard. So it doesn't really matter what you use. If you have techie students, they can go anywhere. They can go on a Google Doc. It doesn't matter. It's just brainstorming. I use it for brainstorming. So
awesome. Thank you.
A whiteboard. Okay. All right. So now we're giving them the assignment. This is assignment instructions. So we're up to step 7. If you're following on the handout in the Google folder, you'll see this document, the PDF. Okay. So I gave them, so this they already did, the video lesson 1, intercultural communication framework, they did. Remember, these are video lessons. Okay. Then mutually adaptive learning paradigm is their next one. Oh, they're doing cultural dissonance, and there are 5 of them. Okay, so that's PlayPosit. If you're not familiar with PlayPosit, I'm not here to show it to you, but for the one this afternoon, I asked you to do PlayPosit. So if you're coming this afternoon, do some PlayPosit. All right, then is perusal. Oh, they kicked me out again. I have to go back in. All right, okay. Here we go. So I'm in perusal. So in perusal, you can see we have a couple of active courses and then other courses. So I'm not doing a session on perusal right now. I know you love to hear about great tools. I love this tool. What they do is they go into a document, and I really don't want to take a lot of time right now, but my students are very active in these documents. And what they do is they highlight something that they want to talk about, and we have a discussion, and I go in and I make comments, and it's asynchronous reading. So I sometimes put prompts and they put reactions, and we go through and have a discussion. They highlight what they want to talk about. Here I am popping in to somebody. Maybe that student needs to have a buddy who has a different, I'm big on buddies. Okay, so I am guiding this asynchronous discussion, and they all do it, and it's really, really cool, but I'm not talking about it right now. And then we did a flip grid. Let's see. Oh, now I can't see. Sorry. Okay, so then I did a flip grid. Their next assignment was to share cultural artifacts in preparation for the next class. So they all did cultural artifacts, and you can see their flip grids. These are my students, they're teachers, and they all shared an artifact. And they love this, they had a lot of fun with it. So they shared that on a flip grid because we were gonna do a project around cultural artifacts, which I'll show you in a second. So then what I did was I did Miro. So I hope you're following me on the tabs. Just, Matt, if you're not seeing what I think you're seeing, it's important. So this is Miro. Miro.
We are seeing Miro.
Okay, it's a wonderful tool. And what I did was very labor intensive. I screenshotted everyone's artifact and put them up here. And then their task was later, this is not in session 2, this is in session 3, I asked them what they could teach with the artifact. So if your students brought in an artifact, there were a lot of ways that you could teach. And I'll just show you, I used it for step 3, whole group application. What are ways you could teach using artifacts? And to define is to know. This, you're not interested, this is the way I teach, okay? So here are some ideas, adjective word order, that's the linguistics piece. Anyway, that was from session 3, but I just wanted to show you what we did with it. And then the other assignment was a Wonderwall in Padlet. And I had talked in session 1, because I like everything to loop, 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 loop. So session 1 was about schema theory, which I know you probably heard of it, but anyway, so it's very hard for them to understand. So I wanted to do a Wonderwall on schema theory. So this is a picture of my Wonderwall in my face-to-face class, just to talk about what a Wonderwall is. I highly recommend digital Wonderwalls. I'm not sure Padlet is the way to do it. I'm still learning Padlet. I didn't really do it right, I'm admitting. Padlet, I just learned from Amy Reed. Amy was talking to us last night, I guess it was, I'm kind of losing track, about how to freeze the the teacher's stuff and make columns. I didn't know any of that. I just slap it all up there. So I put my own stuff, and you can see the tremendous participation, everybody, but these are teachers, and they're all connecting things and doing things with Padlet. They kind of really took off, and they did Padlet on schema theory, because I needed them to understand schema theory better and how it's important for English learners, because things are unfamiliar, and I don't want to talk about that. We won't have time. That's another session, and we're not doing that. Okay. And so, okay, we're up to step 8, which is, let me just see what I have here. Yes, we didn't, okay. So what I was gonna do, my plan was to send you for a minute into breakouts, because I wanted to do SOFLA with you. So I wanted to send you into breakouts, but instead of taking time to do that, just think in your head, we would go into breakouts, because remember, I'm used to a 2-hour thing. This is a 1 hour for whatever. Okay, so instead of the breakout, what I'd like you to do, now that you've seen SOFLA, because did I take you to everything? Let me just, give me 1 second to come back to the document with you to make sure that we went into the whole thing. Okay, so just back into the document, so you can see I took you through the steps: breakouts, share out, preview discovery. In case you're not looking at the PDF, you might not be. Assignment instructions, I took you through play, pause it, perusal, Flipgrid, Padlet, and they could continue doing those. And then I always put questions. Don't hesitate to contact me. Remember, I'm teaching online. See you next week, blah, 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 like that, okay? But the last piece, oh, I didn't put the reflection in here. Well, the last piece is they reflect on a whiteboard, okay? So I'm gonna ask you to reflect. I've got a link for you to reflect, but I also would like you, because the breakout was gonna be, what do you think the advantages are? What do you think the disadvantages? What do you like? What do you not like about SOFLA? That's would have been the breakout. Of course, we didn't have time for that. But also, I'm going to put a link to the reflection, because I really would like you all, if you came to this session, I know I talked the whole time. Okay, there's your reflection on SOFLA, okay? And I hope you got a lot out of this, and we went through all the steps, the eight steps of SOFLA, and this is what the reflection looks like. So you can see it, and I really would like you to do it. That's that wonderful picture that I said is free to use and share. Awesome, free to use and share, I found that. All right, what is your most significant takeaway? How do you plan to change your teaching and write an overall? Okay, and I hope to see you this afternoon, but let's answer some questions. I know we hardly have any time. I'm sorry, I'll answer all your questions asynchronously. I'm gonna stop.
Helaine,
I'm done.
that's wonderful. I noticed there's not a lot of questions yet. I think I could use SOFLA in my class, but I would need more than 3 sessions to apply the 8 steps. Is it possible? You touched on that previously, but you might want to revisit that just briefly.
Well, I've never done it that way. So that's up to you. I mean, that's part of what the conference is. I'm presenting you with a model. What you need to help me with, which is what I'm really interested in here, is you need to actually implement this and tell me, work with me. We can work together. How does SOFLA work with K-12, with different grades. Can you take pieces? Can you make everything shorter? Obviously give less work, you know, but I think you can try it. I think you can try it. It's really the way to go in terms of online because it has that synchronous piece, and all the asynchronous is tied to the synchronous, and it gets them to do the pre-work, which is the big issue for Flip. That's what I think it solves. As I said in my video, if you watch the videos, there's much more about SOFLA. This was just to show you an example of SOFLA. Are there more
Helaine,
questions?
I want to thank you for your presentation, but I also want to thank you for all your moderation. You folks can feel free to hang out here for another few minutes as long as Helaine lets you stay. But unfortunately, I have to go prep and get Kate Baker up and running. So thank you so much, guys.
So does anybody have a question? I'm looking at the chat. If anyone wants to collaborate with me, I'll talk more about collaboration this afternoon. I hope you all come this afternoon because there's actually a SOFLA piece also this afternoon on online pedagogy, but I'm not going to do SOFLA. I'm doing something completely different, and it'll be kind of fun. And Katie will be there, and we're going to have a great time. And I hope if you do it, I'm the researcher, so I need data. So please, you be the teacher. I'll work with you. Research and practice. Okay? It was great having you all here, and I am going to look. I'm going to look at the chat, and I promise that I will get back to anything that I missed by trying to get through the 8 steps. Okay. Okay, and I know that some people will have questions later. You know, I should put that in the reflection. I could add, what questions do you have? But the reflection is anonymous. Yeah. Okay. So think differently about synchronous online flip learning approach. Think about it.
Thank you so much. I'll see you later this afternoon.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for coming. I'm going to look at the chat. If anyone wants to stay, I'm going to Kate Baker myself, but if anyone wants to say, you can ask me. Yes, Mary Ortiz. Yes, action research. That's what I'm looking for. If you do action research, do a project, and I'll work with you, work together. And Durley, yes, Durley, you want to work. I don't know if you're still here.
Hello.
Yes.
Helaine, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right.
I know, that's why I go by Lane. Internationally, I go by Lane because...
Lane, okay. I really like the approach. I think it fits perfectly what I'm planning to do now. I work for a university here in Colombia. I'm really interested on following the approach. Also, I know about the work of Carolina Buitrago.
I'm sorry. Oh, Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah. She and Marta Ramirez. Maybe you have heard about.
I know them well. Yes.
Yeah, Marta Ramirez was my professor at the university. I'm finishing my master's degree, and I love this kind of methodology. I just new. I'm just new to the methodology, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I want to research about a little bit more because of the situation we're having now around the world. So, well, I think I will try to implement your approach, or well, I don't know. I'll try to plan something to do with my students this coming semester, that I will have them working under this methodology. Well, what I see or what I find interesting are the steps, the 8 steps, and well, is that I have long sessions with them. I have sessions about 4 or 6 hours a day. I mean, every Saturday. So it's a little bit tiring for the students. So maybe I will try to adjust these some sessions, or divide my whole session into some of the steps, or well, to see if I can apply them all. Yeah, I think it is interesting to research under this methodology. I just wanted to say that.
No, we should. We should. We should talk, definitely.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your presentation, and I will follow you if you allow me. I mean, like,
Of course.
to have more knowledge about this approach. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. It's great to meet you at Flip Tech, and I'm open to working with you.
All right. Thanks a lot. So
Bye, Mary.
maybe somehow
Yeah.
I will contact you by email, or email you just.
Sure. Email me.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mary. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. There are still people here. I'm going to stop the recording now. Is there anyone who did want to say anything? Durley or Gaman Munoz? There's still a couple people here. Does anyone want to say something before we leave?
Yeah, I will start applying, and I'm going to do some research, but I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay,
And we
good.
can have something to share.
Great.
And see you later. Thank you so much for that information.
Okay. All right. Noor, are you here to say anything, or are you ready to leave? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. And that was Sofla. Thank you for coming. I enjoyed working with you, and I will be reviewing the chat and the reflection.